First contact turns to conflict. The day the Zirath arrived, humanity believed it was a moment of history, a chance for peace, for unity, for something greater than war. Their sleek, dark ships hovered above Earth's atmosphere, massive and silent, like shadows against the stars. Messages were sent, words exchanged, hopes lifted. The Zirath spoke of diplomacy, trade, and a future of shared knowledge. But peace was a lie. The first sign came when the Zirath demanded resources, not requested, but demanded. They wanted Earth's rare minerals, energy reserves, and water-rich colonies in space. Their leader, High Commander Xirak, spoke with cold arrogance. "You are an emerging species. You should feel honored to serve the Zirath Dominion. Refuse, and you will understand your place in the universe." Earth's leaders hesitated. They had studied history. They knew what happened when stronger forces bullied the weak. But humanity was not weak. The United Earth Council responded with diplomacy. "We do not surrender our homes. We are open to discussion, but we will not be ruled." The Zirath laughed. Days passed. The alien fleet remained in orbit, watching, waiting. Then, without warning, they made their move. A human colony on Europa went silent. The last message was a chilling scream. When rescue ships arrived, they found only ruins. The colony was gone, its people reduced to ash. Over 30,000 lives erased. Earth watched in horror. The Zirath left no explanation, no warning, no apology. Then came their final message. "This is what happens when you disobey. Kneel, or more will burn." But humanity did not kneel. Across the planet, a storm of rage spread. The loss of Europa was not just an attack. It was a declaration of war. Ordinary people, leaders, soldiers, everyone knew. This was not just about survival. This was about revenge. For centuries, humans had fought among themselves, waged wars over borders, power, and greed. But this was different. This was not a fight for land. This was not a fight for money. This was a fight for existence. In hidden bases across the solar system, Earth's secret weapons were activated. In deep space stations, fleets once considered unnecessary came online. The United Earth forces had prepared, not for war, but for defense. Yet now, they saw the truth. The universe was not kind. The universe only respected strength. The Zirath believed humans were weak because they had shown kindness. But they had made a mistake. They had pushed too far. And now, humanity would fight. The last warning. The stars above Earth burned cold, distant, unaware of the storm brewing below. Across the planet, every screen flickered to life, broadcasting the same message, a final warning from humanity to the Zirath Dominion. "You have taken our people. You have destroyed our colony. This is your only chance. Leave now or face the consequences." The words echoed across the system, reaching every Zirath warship in orbit. The message was clear, simple, and unlike anything the Zirath had expected from a species they saw as weak. High Commander Xirak listened to the transmission from the bridge of his flagship, the Doombringer. He barely concealed his amusement. To him, these humans were nothing more than a primitive species clinging to a fragile world. Their threats meant nothing. "They think they can challenge us." Xirak scoffed, turning to his advisors. "We have burned entire civilizations into dust. We have crushed empires that spanned 100 stars. And now these humans think they can dictate terms." The Zirath warlords chuckled. They had seen this before, weaklings giving desperate speeches before their worlds were reduced to ruins. "Send the fleet," Xirak commanded, his voice cold and final. "Burn their outposts. Let them understand what defiance costs." The Zirath did not know they had just made the greatest mistake in their history, the silence before the storm. For 3 long days, the skies were quiet. The Zirath fleet advanced deeper into human space, obliterating small listening posts and minor defense stations along the way. Their confidence grew with each effortless victory. But something was wrong. There was no response from Earth, no counterattack, no desperate pleas for mercy. Nothing. Xurak should have felt triumphant. Instead, a strange unease crept into his thoughts. Then the reports started coming in. Zirath warships disappearing. Supply lines cut without explanation. Entire scout fleets gone without a trace. The Zirath had fought countless wars, but this was different. They were used to enemies who panicked, who begged for peace, who ran in fear. But humanity was waiting, and when they struck like ghosts in the dark. The first blow. The Zirath fleet reached Station Helios, a human research facility orbiting Mars. A small target. Easy prey. Xurak ordered an immediate strike. His ships fired, sending beams of plasma toward the station. But nothing hit. Before the Zirath could react, alarms blared through their fleet. The shadows of space came alive. From the asteroid belt, hidden human warships uncloaked, revealing massive battleships armed with experimental rail cannons and pulse missiles. Their firepower ripped through the Zirath fleet, cutting them apart before they could even return fire. The Zirath had expected surrender. Instead, they found a trap. Xurak watched in shock as his forces fell in seconds. Humanity had never been weak. They had only been patient. And now, the war had truly begun. Humanity's response. The Zirath had made a fatal mistake. They thought they were dealing with a species that would break, a species that would needle. But in their arrogance, they had misunderstood humanity's silence. Earth wasn't surrendering. Earth was preparing. The awakening of an empire. Across the solar system, lights flickered to life in hidden bases, deep space stations, and underground command centers. For years, humanity had watched the stars, knowing that one day a test would come. That day had arrived. In an underground facility beneath Luna Base, Admiral Jonas Voss stood before a holographic war map, his face grim. The Zirath had already burned Europa, destroyed outposts, and now marched toward Earth itself. His orders had been clear: do not strike first, show restraint. But that order had expired. He turned to his officers, his voice calm but sharp. Activate Project Revenant. The room went silent. Then, in unison, officers pressed their consoles, sending encrypted signals across the system. Humanity's shadow fleet, warships built in secret, hidden in asteroid belts and deep space docks, came online. For decades, Earth had outwardly preached peace. But in secret, its greatest minds had been designing weapons for a war they hoped would never come. That war was here. And now, it was humanity's turn to strike. The hunt begins. The first Zirath supply convoy never saw it coming. Drifting through space near Jupiter's orbit, they carried fuel, munitions, and reinforcements for the invasion. Their defenses were light. After all, the Zirath had assumed humans were already defeated. But humanity was not running. From the darkness of space, black-clad warships emerged, moving like shadows. These were the Black Wolves, an elite fleet trained for deep space ambushes. They struck without warning, unleashing railgun fire and high-velocity torpedoes that ripped through the Zirath ships like paper. The enemy had no time to react. Within minutes, the entire convoy was gone, reduced to silent wreckage floating in the void. And this was only the beginning. The message of war. Across Zirath communication channels, a single human transmission interrupted all signals. The image was simple: an empty chair in a dark room, a voice speaking from the shadows. You thought we were weak. You thought we would kneel. A pause. Then, cold and final: you were wrong. The signal cut off, but the message had been sent. The Zirath had started this war. Now, humanity would finish it. The Battle of Titan. The Zirath war machine moved with confidence, believing themselves unstoppable. Their fleet, vast, and unchallenged, descended upon Titan, one of humanity's strongest outer colonies. They expected a slaughter. What they found was something else entirely. The ambush. The Zirath never fought wars like humans did. They conquered through overwhelming force, crushing their enemies with sheer numbers and firepower. Their strategy was simple: strike hard, strike fast, and leave nothing behind. That strategy had worked against weaker civilizations. But humans didn't just fight wars. They studied them. As the Zirath fleet approached Titan's orbit, everything seemed too quiet. No resistance, no human ships, only the massive gas giant and its thick, swirling clouds. Commander Vakor, leading the Zirath assault force, sneered at the emptiness before him. "Pathetic," he muttered. Then the sky exploded. From the dense cloud cover of Titan's atmosphere, hidden Earth warships emerged, their hulls painted to match the gas giant's storms. They had been waiting, engines cold, weapons primed. The Zirath barely had time to react before the first salvo of railgun fire tore through their front lines. Explosions blossomed like dying stars. Humanity had learned from history: never fight an enemy head-on. Make them bleed first. And now, the Zirath were bleeding. The unleashing of Project Revenant. The Zirath scrambled to regroup, their forces trying to push back against the human ambush. But the battlefield wasn't in their control anymore. From behind Titan's largest moon, a fleet unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen arrived in force. This was Project Revenant, humanity's secret weapon. Not just warships, but war machines designed for vengeance. Stealth frigates that moved like ghosts. Dreadnoughts equipped with plasma lances capable of cutting through capital ships. Automated combat drones swarming the enemy like angry hornets. The Zirath had thought humanity was weak. They had never met humanity at war. The turning point. Zirath warships burned in Titan's orbit. The once arrogant alien commanders shouted over comms, trying to make sense of what was happening. Their formations collapsed, their fleet fractured. For the first time, the Zirath knew fear. But humanity was not done. On the surface of Titan, elite human shock troops deployed. Exosuits humming with energy, rail rifles in hand. They stormed Zirath landing forces, crushing them with brutal efficiency. Commander Vakor watched in horror as his soldiers, his unstoppable warriors, fell like insects before the human advance. This wasn't just a battle. This was a message. Humanity had held back before. Now they were fighting to win. And the Zirath, they were not ready. You said, turning the tide. The Zirath had never known fear until now. For centuries, they had crushed weaker civilizations, their war machine an unstoppable force. But Titan had changed everything. The humans had not only fought back, they had broken the Zirath fleet, proving that the invaders were not invincible. The illusion of Zirath dominance shattered. And now humanity was hunting them. The counterstrike begins. Across the solar system, human fleets mobilized. What had once been a desperate fight for survival had turned into a coordinated war effort. The United Earth Forces launched Operation Eclipse, a relentless offensive designed to push the Zirath back. No more waiting. No more diplomacy. Humanity was done holding back. Stealth ships cut through Zirath supply lines, leaving their forces stranded. In deep space, human war fleets struck in brutal, precise attacks, tearing apart enemy battalions before they could regroup. It wasn't just war. It was a reckoning. The battle for the belt. The Zirath, desperate to regain control, launched an assault on the asteroid belt, hoping to establish a stronghold and turn the tide. If they could control the belt, they could cut off human forces from vital resources. But humanity was already waiting. The Black Wolves, Earth's elite strike fleet, lay in stealth mode, hidden among the drifting asteroids. As the Zirath fleet approached, the trap was sprung. Mass driver cannons hidden on asteroids activated, launching massive tungsten rounds at hypersonic speeds. The Zirath warships had no time to react before their hulls were ripped apart. Then came the drones, small, fast, and armed with high-yield explosives. They swarmed the Zirath ships, striking with deadly precision. In under an hour, half of the Zirath invasion force was annihilated. The rest? They ran. For the first time, the Zirath weren't just fighting to conquer. They were fighting to survive. Humanity's fury. Across enemy communication channels, a chilling realization spread. The humans are winning. Not just fighting back, not just surviving. Winning. The Zirath had started this war believing they were the superior force, but now, they were the ones retreating. And deep in the shadows of space, Earth's true war machine was just getting started. The final stand. The Zirath were running. Their once mighty fleet, which had darkened Earth's skies with arrogance, was now a fractured, desperate force. Their supply lines had been severed. Their warships, once symbols of their dominance, now floated as burning wrecks in the void. But the Zirath were not defeated yet. In a final, desperate move, High Commander Xerac called upon the last of his forces. He would not accept defeat. If the Zirath could not conquer humanity, they would ensure that Earth would burn with them. And so, the Doombringer, the Zirath's most powerful mothership, made its way toward Earth, its massive guns charging for planetary bombardment. This was not an invasion anymore. This was an extermination attempt. Earth's last defense. Across the world, alarms blared. Every military channel repeated the same chilling message. Zirath superweapon inbound. Earth is the target. There was no time for hesitation. The Aegis Protocol, a secret global defense network, was activated. Orbital battle stations came online, their weapons locking onto the approaching mothership. But the Doombringer was unlike any enemy humanity had ever faced. Its hull was layered in adaptive shielding, resistant to both energy and kinetic attacks. It was surrounded by escorts, warships designed to take the brunt of any counterattack. And worst of all, it carried planet-killer weapons designed to turn Earth's cities to glass in a single shot. If it reached orbit, humanity would not get a second chance. The last battle begins. The human fleet rushed to intercept, knowing this was their final chance to stop the Zirath. Every remaining warship, every last fighter, every missile was launched in a last-ditch effort. The battle was brutal. The Doombringer fired its main cannon, obliterating an entire human dreadnought in a single shot. Explosions rocked the battlefield, lighting up the darkness of space like a dying star. But humanity fought like demons. Stealth bombers dove between enemy shields, planting explosive charges along the Zirath hulls. Capital ships unleashed railgun barrages, targeting weak points with deadly accuracy. Fighter squadrons weaved through enemy fire, striking at exposed thrusters and weapon systems. For every human ship destroyed, 2 Zirath ships fell. And then, the Aegis Protocol fully activated. From hidden orbital platforms, a blinding beam of concentrated energy lanced through the darkness, striking the Doombringer directly. The shields shattered, the hull fractured. The once invincible Zirath mothership began to break apart. Inside, High Commander Xerac stared in disbelief. Impossible. Humans were never meant to be this strong. His words were his last. With a final, earth-shaking explosion, the Doombringer was no more. The battle was over, and humanity had won. The war was decided. Across the remaining Zirath forces, panic spread like wildfire. Their leader was gone. Their fleet was shattered, and they were alone. Across every Zirath comm channel, a single message repeated from the human high command: surrender or be erased. There was no hesitation. The Zirath, once an empire of conquest, now begged for mercy. But humanity had not forgotten Europa, had not forgotten the burning cities, the fallen soldiers. This was no longer just war. This was justice, and Earth was not feeling merciful. You said, the message to the galaxy. The war was over, but humanity was not celebrating. There were no cheers, no parades, no triumphant speeches, only the cold silence of space, filled with the wreckage of a once mighty empire. The Zirath had come to Earth believing they were the strongest force in the galaxy. They had burned human colonies, slaughtered civilians, and demanded submission. Now, their mighty fleet was reduced to ashes. Their warlords were either dead or in chains, and their once feared empire, it was no more. The fate of the Zirath. The surviving Zirath commanders begged for peace. They pleaded for negotiations, hoping for the mercy that they had never shown to others. But humanity did not forget. The United Earth Council gathered for one final decision. What would be done with the Zirath? Would humanity wipe them out, ensuring they could never threaten another world? Or would they do what no other species had done before, show mercy to those who had shown none? The answer came in a single broadcast. Across every galactic network, on every planet, in every corner of space, a message was transmitted. A simple image. The Earth, untouched. The Zirath homeworld, burning. Then a voice spoke, calm, cold, and absolute. Humanity does not seek war. But if you come for us, if you harm our people, we will not stop. We will not break. We will erase you. The message ended. It was not a warning. It was a promise. A galaxy changed forever. The Zirath surrendered fully and unconditionally. Their once proud empire collapsed, their worlds placed under strict monitoring. They would never threaten another species again. But the rest of the galaxy had been watching. Other empires, warlords and conquerors who had once viewed Earth as a minor, insignificant world, now saw the truth. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the storm that came for those who pushed too far. And from that day forward, the galaxy learned one unshakable truth: never provoke humanity. Because once they started fighting, they would never stop.